Okay. We're playing Touchstarved. It's a visual novel. I don't know how this is gonna go, so we're just gonna see how it rolls. From what it looked like, though, it looked pretty saucy. So, you might have heard of Touchstarved. It's what most people are. But yeah, anyway, let's get into it. I don't know if there's voice acting in this or not. Is there a good spot to put me in my box? I'll just read it out loud here, and then we'll go from there. I'm pretty sure most of it's going to end up down here, so we should be okay. I just don't want to end up blocking it for you guys. This is a demo of the Touchstar prologue and not the finished product. Thank you. This is Red Spring Studio. They are a small indie studio with some game developers from Riot Games, Nix Hydra, Bungie, and more. So, oh no. This is intended for older audience. It contains mature content that includes, but is not limited to, horror, graphic violence, strong language, alcohol and drug references, injury, and dismemberment. Player discretion is advised. Oh, I'm in danger. If you accept the consent, if you accept the content warning, please click to proceed. In Touchstarved, your choices matter. The decisions you make may result in unique dialogue, interactions, or even choices in red text which contain exclusive content. Try playing through the demo more than once and choosing different options. You might even uncover a secret ending. Ooh. And remember, there are no wrong choices, only interesting ones. Choose wisely, save often. Left click progress text and dialogue. Mouse wheel up to rewind. That should be fine. Choose your name. Well, I only have one. It's me, Justin. Choose your pronouns. I'm a man. This world began to unravel long before you were born. It began with fogfall. Spectral mist bled from the seams where reality wore so thin it split. And from that fog emerged monsters, inhuman beings with unnatural powers. Some possessed language and intellect. Others were mindless beasts driven by little more than the desire to slaughter. As cities fell and unrest spread, humans united in their fear, while monsters thrived in the chaos. And then there's you. You're not even sure if you're human. You were born cursed, with hands that alter the minds of anyone you touch. Choose your backstory. I'm just trying to make it fun. I'm sorry if it's cringe that I'm doing a voiceover. Whatever. You know, if there's no voice, I'll be the voice. What do I want to be? The Unnamed, the Hound, or the Alchemist? Let's see. You were raised as an oracle in a remote temple. The priest claimed your touch bestowed enlightenment, but a visiting mage revealed your curse for what it is. Following the mage's word, you fled in search of the cenobium? You regularly experience unnatural premonitions that rattle your body and soul, and an innate sixth sense gives you a heightened awareness of hidden supernatural presences around you. I feel like sometimes I'm just reading a sentence and I'm like, I don't even know what I'm looking at. I'm going to turn this down a little bit. There we go. I feel like it was just overpowering me. You were raised by society's outcast criminals who accepted you when nobody else would. Your crime, a friend since childhood, helped you steal enough money for a cure, then betrayed you. They left you with only enough coin to travel to Cenobium, your last hope. An exiled Cenobium mage took you in as a child, raising you as her apprentice. She seemed to take pity on your curse, but you discovered that she was cultivating you as a test subject. You fled the Cenobian seeking a cure. All of these are pretty interesting. I'm going to go with this one, just because I feel like it maybe lines up. Your name is Justin. You selected he, him pronouns. Your backstory is the Hound. Is this correct? I guess this isn't the narrator yet. Is this correct? Is this good? Is this... The wasteland stretches as far as the eye can see. There's nothing out here but death, the ever-present stench of decay, and countless sun-bleached bones cast like seeds across the barren land. I could say death doesn't scare me, but to tell the truth, I'm desperate. It's been 2 weeks since I joined a caravan bound across the waste, finding a group that would accept me. Oh wait, now this is me. Okay. As rations grew sparse and my canteen ran dry, I began to despair. But then I saw it. A bunch of buildings. Iridia, the city of knowledge, one of the last bastions of humanity left in the world, and home to the famous academy called the Cenobium. All the world's knowledge gathered in one place. If there's anywhere I'll find a cure for my curse, it's there. All that stands between me and a cure is a final stretch of salt-soaked wastes. Or so I think, until I see the first tendrils of fog snaking beneath the wagon. Is this fogfall? My stomach sinks at the very whisper of it. A silent storm more devastating than fire. Dangerous in cities, but a death sentence beyond them. A thick blanket of fog engulfs us, smothering out the lantern's light. The wagon lurches to a stop. An eerie silence heavy as the mist falls over us. The only warning we get is a strangled scream. Stay back! No! The cry dissolves into wet gurgling. Then, the wagon violently pitches to the side. I hit the ground hard. The air punched from my lungs. When I opened my eyes, adrenaline lends sudden, awful clarity to the carnage around me. A traitor I once shared bread with lies face down in the mud, their back reduced to long strings of torn muscle, gleaming gristle, and exposed bone. Bodies litter the wasteland. I try to rise, but my ankle explodes with pain so blinding, white blooms across my vision. Only when my eyes adjust do I see the dark shape in front of me. A soulless stoops over the twisted form of a caravaner. I freeze, but it swivels its head. A dozen bulging eyes twitch in my direction and blink as one. This is a really cool design. I really like this. I can definitely see the Riot games. I mean, I guess I could see, but like I could definitely have seen this in like Destiny or something too. The soulless lets out an ear-splitting shriek and runs at me. But right before it reaches me, the beast barrels past, vanishing into the mist. Distantly, a horse screams in the dark. I need to move now. Do I run for the city or head toward... Let's run for the city. I take off, running deeper into the haze. The fog is so thick that I fear I'm headed in the wrong direction until I see a dim pinprick of light emanating from the shadow of a spire. It's faint, but it's enough. I came too far to die here. Rapid footsteps echo all around me. I turn in circles, frantically searching the opaque mist for the source, but the fogfall twists and stretches sound. Suddenly, the caravan's driver bursts forth from the fog. Our eyes meet too late. He slams into me, knocking me into the ground, and slips into a patch of mud. The soulless falls on him as soon as he slows. It catches the driver by his throat and rakes his stomach with razor-sharp claws. He comes apart like wet paper, spilling intestines and viscera in a steaming tide. Fighting the urge to heave, I claw frantically through the slippery muck of a handhold. Shit! My hand catches on the jagged edge of a rib jutting up from the water. Bandages unfurl around the couch torn deep into my palm. The pain's quickly forgotten when a hand closes around my wrist. Can you stand? One of the travelers from the caravan leans over me. We need to run. They reach for my hand, and I realize too late that my bandages have come undone. No, don't touch me. The sensation of their thumb brushing the back of my hand sends a shiver down my spine. All it takes is one touch, and in the space of a breath, my curse takes hold. Their lips peel back into a deranged grin. I can't do that. It's kind of late at night. I really don't want to joke or laugh. No, I've seen this face countless times before. This is my curse. Madness of my own making. Their grip on my hand tightens until pain radiates from my knuckles. Let me go. Suddenly, clammy hands crush my throat, choking off my breath. Die, 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 die. Spit bubbles at the corners of their mouth and flex my face. The edges of my vision darken as my lungs scream for air. I'll try to fight them off. My nails gouge deep into the traveler's wrist, but no matter how much blood I draw, they don't flinch. The more I struggle, the tighter the grip grows. My pulse hammers in my ears, slowing with each thudding beat. This can't be happening. I'm going to die, and not because of the fogfall or the soulless, but because of my own curse. Tears sting my eyes. No, 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 not here. Not like this. The hands drop from my neck, leaving me wheezing for air. My lungs burn with each ragged cough. My vision clears and the traveler's face takes shape, hovering inches from mine. Lips still split, and the macabre smile, even as blood seeps between their teeth. Some of these words, I'm like, I think that's how you say it. Sorry. They give one last shuddering breath, then slump over the claws hooked through their stomach. The soulless shoves the body aside, and the glowing eyes studding its leathery skin thin as though grinning. There's a flash of claws, red spill, cross my vision. I thought there'd be pain, but as I sink into the murky water, all I can feel is the grit of silt filling my mouth and the icy embrace of shallow water. Distantly, I notice an arm resting among an outcrop of reeds. Mine, neatly severed at the elbow. It should have taken both arms. Without them, maybe I could have survived. Maybe I could have had a home. Instead, I'll die cold, alone, and face down in a desolate wasteland. A fitting end for a monstrosity like me. If this is death, it's not as bad as I feared. The cold is gone, as is the choking stench of bog water. I could drift forever, cocooned in oblivion, until all thought and sensation vanished. No curse, nobody howling at me in madness and terror. Nothing at all. The thought has a terrible appeal to it. But the next moment, I take a reflexive breath. Air pours into my lungs, then out again in a ragged gasp. Feeling comes, flooding back. Warm cloth on my bare skin, a firm surface underneath me, a strange tang of sulfur in the air. Well, I don't know what they look like, so I'm just gonna kind of go off of. Do not be afraid. Oh, this is a handsome boy. Hello. I hope my friend Danny watches this. So they're gonna be like, "What is this game?" Ooh. I twist my head toward the voice. Tears flood my bleary vision at the bright glow of lamplight. Try not to move. The voice is calm, steady, and commanding. But more importantly, it's a stranger's voice. One thought cuts through my mental fog. I have no idea who this is, and I'm completely at their mercy. Do I hear wedding bells? Stay away from me. My words come out in a little more than a creaky whisper. I clamp my mouth shut, hating how weak and helpless I sound. No. No? Who the hell is this? Don't sit up. I manage to push myself up on one elbow, but my head swims. My surroundings give an alarming lurch. Ah, a stubborn patient. I don't have the strength to dignify that with a response. Instead, I pull the sheet up higher and wipe my eyes until my vision clears. Ooh. I'm not even gay. Like, well, maybe. Oh. The stranger's towers over my prone form. Warm light reflects off his pristine medical coat. And his pristine abs, my God. I instinctively shrink back, and that's when I notice that I'm completely naked, except for a thin linen sheet. Oh. It's gonna be one of those games. Naked, lying on a low cot, with a pair of sharp golden eyes watching my every move. The man's gaze flickers to my exposed, unbandaged hands. I plunge my hands under the sheet to hide them from sight, though it's too late. He must have noticed what they looked like. Strange, cursed, inhuman. I brace myself for his inevitable suspicion and disgust, but his expression doesn't even flicker from that courteous smile. He just watches and plays at silence as I struggle to make sense of my surroundings. Where am I? Who are you? Be calm. You are safe here. Whoever this is, he clearly has no idea who or what I am. I've never been safe anywhere. With anyone. The only people I've ever trusted betrayed me for a fat purse of coin. I scowl, pulling the sheet protectively around myself. Where are my clothes? The man's golden eyes narrow slightly. A sharp sigh rustles the papers in his hands. I see you are not to be dissuaded. Your clothes were torn to shreds when I found you, but I procured replacements. I'm trying to sight read all of this. And I'm trying to remember what kind of voice I gave that character. With a soft creak, he stands from his chair, giving me a better view of my surroundings. I seem to be in some sort of medical clinic. Bottles of silvery, alchemical concoctions line the counter in neat rows. The air makes my nose twitch, a faint whiff of smoke, and something distinctly metallic that I can't quite place. The doctor produces a large, dense bundle of cloth, which he sets at the foot of my cot. He's easily a head taller than most, and I have to crane my neck to look at him. Thank you. I should be polite if I can, especially since I don't know who this is, what he can do, or what he wants with me. Thank you. You are welcome. You are welcome. I will leave you to get dressed. This man is pretty. Oh. Oh. With a curt nod, he leaves through a narrow door. I hear a soft click as the lock turns behind him. I count to 3 in the sudden silence. When I don't hear any more footsteps, I reach for the bundle of clothes. An itch on my elbow stops me short. I reach down absently to rub at it, then freeze when my fingers meet a neat line of stitches. I know what I saw. That beast took my arm clean off, and yet my arm shows no signs of injury apart from the black stitches poking through my skin. I gingerly flex my fingers, feeling my heart race at the sensation. This is impossible. I should be dead, or at the very least, gasping out my last breaths. I squeeze my eyes shut, waiting for the pleasant dream to unravel, to wake up bleeding out in the swamp. But nothing happens. The seconds tick by, and my arms remain resolutely healed, my surroundings pristine and quiet. In numb disbelief, I reach for the replacement clothes and begin stiffly pulling them on. They're thicker and warmer than mine were, with a black woolen cloak to go with them. But there's one thing still missing: my bandages. The golden-eyed man didn't leave me with any, even though I know he saw my hands. I slide off the bed and take a few unsteady steps toward one of the drawers. If this is indeed a doctor's clinic, there must be bandages somewhere. I start opening drawers at random, and of course, that's when the door swings open once more. Are you looking for something? I whirl around, clutching a thick roll of clean bandages. I try to step back from him, but my legs bump against the edge of the cot. Your caution is understandable, though if I meant you any harm, you would know. That doesn't make me feel better in the slightest. But he makes no move towards me, so I quickly wind the bandages around my hands. The glowing scars and mottled skin disappear under a layer of clean white cotton. May I ask why you need additional bandages? I clench my jaw. I knew it would only be a matter of time before he asked about my hands, though the way he does is strangely roundabout. There's no answer I could give without raising unwelcome suspicion, so I just shake my head and finish tying the bandages in silence. I can only help you if you tell me what ails you. An involuntary snort of laughter escapes me. Where would I even begin? Would he even believe me if I told him? No. Best to keep my curse for myself. Best to keep my curse to myself for now, and learn more about him first. Who are you? You may call me Kuris. I hope I said that correctly, I'm sorry. And where exactly am I? Iridia, which I assume was your caravan's destination. I can think of nowhere else for a group of travelers to go. Iridia. So I made it to the City of Knowledge after all. I should feel relieved, but all I can manage is a vague sense of increasing unease. How did I end up here? I brought you to my clinic, of course. You were the only survivor from the caravan, barely clinging to life. You needed immediate treatment. Which you provided? Yes. He says it so simply, as if I'm a small child and he's explaining basic addition to me. I frown and flex the fingers on my recently healed arm. Aside from being a bit stiff, it feels fine. Thoroughly attached to me. You're saying that you stitched my arm back on? Pardon? A Solus attacked the caravan. It ripped everyone to shreds. It tore my arm clean off. But when I woke up here, I trail off bewildered. I've never heard of any magic that could heal a mortal wound like that. What kind of person could do such a thing? the doctor, Kuras, pinches the bridge of his nose. He sits back down in his chair, quiet for a long time. I do not know where you come from, but Iridia is the city of knowledge, and deadly secrets alike. Information is power, and it is most unwise to give or receive it freely. Since you have refused to divulge your secrets, I will not divulge mine. I do not even know your name. You are new to Iridia, so I will overlook the specific breach of etiquette. However, you should not expect others to extend the same courtesy. Do you understand? He looks pointedly at my freshly bandaged hands. Loath, though I am to admit it, he has a point. I'm almost a complete stranger to him, and if he's telling the truth, he saved my life. I take a deep, steady breath. This time, when I speak, I sound a bit more like myself. Justin. My name is Justin. It is a pleasure to meet you, Justin. There's a little more warmth in his smile, his polite demeanor back in an instant. Thank you for saving my life. Sorry, I had to move a little. I chance a smile in return. Even if he won't explain how he did the impossible, there's no doubt in my mind that I'd be dead if it not for Kuras. Think nothing of it. I'm not sure if he's just being excessively courteous, but his words only raise more urgent questions. But I have to ask. Why did you save me? You don't know me. The question seems to startle Kuras. I could hardly leave you to die in the wastes. Assisting those in need is the very essence of a doctor's duty. I've never met a doctor who also handed out free clothes. My fingers find the edge of the cloak. There's a subtle but delicately embroidered pattern around the hem. I try not to think about what kind of price Kuras might ask for such well-made clothes. No, I suppose not. Forgive my presumption. I rarely come across so fascinating a patient. I blink. What did he just say? I simply meant that few would cling to life so resolutely, or brave such as a perilous journey to Iridia. I could not help being curious about you, Justin. His voice dips to a soft murmur, and he abruptly looks away from me. I don't know what to say to that. I honestly don't know what to say to that. If you knew more about me, you might not like as much as you think. Doctor or not, he wouldn't want to risk his life or sanity over me. No one ever does. A peculiar thing to say. Why would I ever cause to dislike you? And here we are, back in my curse. The thing I've been desperate to avoid discussing. A loud knock at the front door stops our conversation cold and spares me from having to say anything else. Duty calls. Unfortunately, you are not my only patient today. The knocking grows more insistent, and Kuras lets out a tired sigh. Please, wait your turn. Though he says it quietly, the clamor on the side of the door abruptly stops. Do you need anything before you leave, Justin? Oh. Between the soulless attack and my miraculous survival, I'd almost forgotten why I came to Iridia in the first place. I need directions to the cenobium. The cenobium? The look on his face is downright chilling. He pauses, choosing his words with his cold deliberation when he speaks again. Whatever you seek, it is very unlikely you will find it there. The cenobium's gates open for precious few visitors. Even if they did, you would not like what you found inside. My heart sinks. Is he saying that I came all this way for nothing? Risked life and limb for nothing? No, that can't be. I've only just arrived in Iridia's largest city still standing. There has to be a cure for me here. That if not Cenobium, where would you suggest? Do you know anyone else in Iridia? I shake my head. Then I suggest a local guide. Head to the Wet Wick and ask for Leander. Excuse me? The Wet... What? The Wet Wick. He sounds deeply unamused. Follow the postings advertise Leander's bloodhounds. They are difficult to miss. When you meet Leander, tell him I sent you. This isn't much to go on, but Kuras points towards the clinic's back door. You will be safe so long as you do not draw attention to yourself. That's easier said than done. I've always been a magnet for the worst sort of attention. If you require my assistance, you may return whenever you wish. Though he's smiling, there's a note of finality in his voice, resigned to my dismissal. I slip out the back door. I am invested. I'm very invested in this. I normally don't play games like this, but I think reading it out loud like this is really helping me get, into the story. I find myself standing in a narrow and rather gloomy alley. I pull the new cloak over my nose, stepping over the contents of chamber pots that have been emptied into the street. Something weighs heavily inside one of the cloak's pockets. My coin purse. Everything is still inside. Every last coin that I scraped together for the journey to Iridia. It doesn't even look like it was opened. There are so few coins to begin with. They probably weren't worth stealing. I glance back at the clinic's closed door. Kuras didn't take any payment. He didn't even ask for a future favor. But he also said that in Iridia, secrets are power. Does he expect me to give up mine at some point? That's not exactly a comforting thought. Still, no matter why he did it, Kuras gave me a second chance and a lead on where I might find help. I'd better get going before he changes his mind. I squeeze out of the alley and into the crowded main street. The line outside Kuras' clinic stretches down the road already. Two thin peddlers queue alongside weathered elders. If any place is in desperate need of a free clinic, it's this one. The cobblestones are treacherously rough under my feet, deep grooves worn between them by regular flooding and decades of hard use. I knew Iridia was a river city, but I didn't expect it to look so eroded. The buildings are tired and dilapidated, all crammed together in narrow streets. A child darts by, clutching something greasy wrapped in paper. The smell of fried food drifts over to me. My stomach gives a faint gurgle. This morning's catch, fried up, hot and fresh. Not too many eyeballs today. That sounds disgusting, but I'm starving, so I duck my head under the stall's grubby awning. A large fish leers up at me, its three bulging eyes still visible through the thick layer of crispy batter. The vendor gives me a gap-toothed grin. What's the cheapest thing you've got? The vendor points at a metal basket of what looks like long strips of savory fried dough. Fresh long, lads. 3 copper apiece. Don't burn your mouth. I take the coins out, counting them gingerly. At this rate, I might not even be able to afford dinner. Reluctantly, I drop the payment on the counter and take my meal. 2 streets later, I pass under a wrought iron archway adorned with dangling garlands of red and pink lilies. The buildings in this quarter are a dizzying riot of color, painted walls, and tinted glass everywhere I look. Sheer red and pink curtains flutter in open doorways. Musical voices call out invitingly. Incense mingles with the pungent scent of flowers, barely covering the salt and musk of warm bodies. This must be Iridia's entertainment district. I'm polishing off my food and dusting the crumbs from my hands when I spot a poster. It features the silhouette of a man wearing a single dagger-like earring with the word Bloodhounds printed above his head. A motto, as above, so below, circles the artwork. If Leander is the leader of the Bloodhounds, then the face printed on the poster is likely his. I follow the line of identical posters around a corner and nearly hit my head on a precariously dangling wooden sign. Looking up, faded orange letters read The Wet Wick. The facade of the building looks like it's seen better days, but I hear faint music and laughter coming from inside. The inside of the bar is a far cry from the abandoned exterior. It's not even midday yet most of the tables and booths are occupied by a loose assembly of people in matching green cloaks. There's a lot you can tell about a city by its dives. This one seems ordinary enough, even if the uniforms are unusual. A cursory glance doesn't turn up anyone with a dagger-shaped earring. I'm about to head towards the counter when a chant rises from the center of the room. Show, show, show. The remaining green cloaks abandon the bar and their booths to rush towards the center of the room in a sudden torrent. There's no time to move out of the way. I'm caught, swept in the ale strength. I'm caught, swept along in the ale-stenched current. Hey! Rhythmic chanting drowns out my voice. I thrash, throwing out my elbows as the press of bodies grows heavier. My hip knocks into a table. I grip it, holding on tight to steady myself, but the crowd has stilled. The chanting stopped. A pair of gilded boots stride across the tabletop. Seriously, you dogs? Again? Scattered laughter and cheers rise from the audience. I drag my eyes upwards, and oh my. Ooh. Another pretty boy. Danny, I hope you're watching this. This is dedicated to you. You fucking degenerate. A well-dressed man stands on the table in front of me, his broad shoulders framed by the thick lapels of a trench coat. This really is the last time. This really is the last time, all right? This time when he speaks, the audience falls silent, as though bewitched by his magnetic presence or rich, low voice. Oh. I guess I should go lower then. But nothing is as captivating as a smile. He beams at the crowd around him, a performer on his makeshift stage. Don't blink or you'll miss it. I don't know, that doesn't really match what I had in my head. He laughs in the It kind of looks like Leon from Resident Evil. I can't do that voice. I can't do it really any voice, but the dagger-shaped earring dangling from his left ear catches the light in a flash of gold. It would seem I've found Leander. He raises his hand above the audience and snaps. A flash of pale green light. Real magic. No ordinary stage trick blinds me. As the brilliance ebbs, my gaze refocuses on the mage towering above me. He flicks his wrist, and the magic spiraling around him coalesces. A delicate flower stem sprouts from between his pinched fingers. One by one, glowing lily petals spring forth. With a flourish, the mage presents the conjured flowers. The audience bursts into clapping and cheers. A genuine magic show was the last thing I expected from a place called the Wet Wick. I expected it to be a brothel. Leander plucks the iridescent bouquet out of the air and turns in a slow circle, giving his audience a good look. Now who could use some good luck? Eager onlookers scoot closer to the table. Some reach for the lilies while others whistle and call Leander's name. but his cool, green eyes slide right over them, locking on me instead. How about you? My chest tightens. Every person gathered turns to stare at me. I'll take your flowers. I reach out, all too aware of the way my fingers tremble as I carefully take the flowers from him. There's no weight to them, only a faint warmth that radiates from the stems. As soon as the flower leave Leander's hands, their light dims. They fade away in a shower of palescent light. To my surprise, Leander laughs under his breath. That's the problem with flowers. They don't last long, but they leave an impression, right? He grins at me, and I find myself smiling back. Oh. God. This man was built like a Greek god. Whew. Oh, baby. Leander steps off the table, dropping among the excited crowd with an audible clink. All right, bloodhounds, get back to your drinks. Show's over. The green cloaks disperse at his command, returning to their tables and booths. Before I can make my way towards Leander, his eyes find me. He gives me a friendly wave, then beckons me over to the crowded counter. I manage to squeeze beside him, but there's so little room that his broad shoulder presses against mine. I tense, but he doesn't seem to mind at all. Is this your first time in Iridia? He says it lightly with a genuine air of curiosity. Do I stick out that much? No, but I'm certain I'd remember seeing a face as lovely as yours around Lowtown. Baby. Ooh. God, we really are touch-starved in this game, huh? My eyes flicker to the polished countertop. I'm not used to flattery, and being this close makes eye contact difficult. Dude, it's difficult for me. It's just a fucking image. As if on cue, the bartender approaches us. What can I get you? Surprise me. Add anything my friend wants to my tab. I wasn't expecting the generosity, but I have to admit, I do feel a little thirsty after all that fried dough. I'll have what he's having. While the bartender leaves to fix our drinks, Leander leans his elbows on the counter. I'm close enough to notice the purple shadows under his lower lids. His eyes wander over me in return, but when they lock on my bandaged hands, a sour taste rises in my throat. Here comes the questions. So, what brings you to the wake? Kuros sent me. He pushes his hair back from his forehead, but immediately falls right back into place. So, it's about work. I guess it'd be like, so, it's about work. The bartender returns with a pair of glasses filled with what I can only assume is beer. I raise my glass and give it an experimental sniff. It smells faintly yeasty, but with an undercurrent I can't quite place. A quick sip confirms my worst suspicions. It's awful. Somehow briny and sour in a way that reminds me of pickles. That's disgusting. But any thought of complaining dies the moment I look up and see Leander taking a deep swig from his glass. He lets out a satisfied breath. How can I be of assistance? I need to get to the cenobium. As soon as the word cenobium leaves my mouth, the entire bar falls silent. Bloodhounds twist around in their seats to gawk openly. Finally, an especially drunk one speaks up. The hell are you bringing up? Just to make up Southern. The hell are you bringing up the cenobium in here? Throw him out.
This is Bloodhound territory,
It said old. I just went with
as old as I possibly can be.
the vitriol catches me off guard from the angry looks thrown my way. It's clear I've broken in some unspoken rule just by mentioning the cenobium. When I glance at Leander, he's drinking as though he hasn't noticed the uproar. Only when he catches me looking does he lower his glass. For the love of... He drags a hand down his face. Hey, keep it down, will you? This is business. I tense, expecting an argument, but the outspoken bloodhounds silently return to their drinks. Only a handful continue to watch me warily. Sorry about them. The cenobium's a bit of a touchy subject in these parts. Mixing enough drinks and, well, you saw. How about we continue this outside? When I gave him a terse nod, he pushes away from the bar counter. I follow Leander to an alleyway tucked behind the wet wick, where layers of frayed bloodhounds posters have been plastered to the walls. Seeing them side by side, the resemblance between Leander and his likeness on the posters is impressive. Karos didn't send you here for help with the cenobium, did he? I don't know why I made him a little southern at the end there. From the look he gives me, he already knows the answer. I glance away. No, he didn't. He suggested I find an alternative. Yet here you are, asking them anyway. What do you need the cenobium for? I don't want to tell him about my curse. The less people know about my capabilities, the better. Thankfully, Leander takes my reluctant silence as an answer. Well, I see you're already aware of the city's currency. Information's worth its weight in gold here. Kuros told you the truth. Cenobium's dangerous. Get on their bad side, and they'll imprison you if you're lucky, or torch you if you're not. But the cenobium's supposed to be a place of learning. A sanctuary. The cenobium has always been heralded as the last bastion of human knowledge. A shining beacon of hope in a world steeped in nightmares. If any place held answers, it would be the cenobium. That's why I came here. That's what they want you to think. Things that seem too good to be true are often just that. Such a simple statement, and yet it leaves me reeling. If it's true, if I staked everything on a lie, then what now? Leander clears his throat. But as I always say, there's a solution to every problem, and alternatives to every solution. He claps his hands and turns to me with a brilliant smile. That's why Kuros pointed you to the bloodhounds. Let us help you, whether it's hunting Solus, finding people, or recovering stolen valuables. We can do it all, and free of charge. I'm shaking my head. Before he's even finished his practice speech, my patience is wearing dangerously thin. Listen, I appreciate the offer, but my problem can't be solved by a group of good Samaritans. To my chagrin? Leander nods slowly. Then your problem must be fairly serious. And if the cenobium's your first choice, you're searching for a magical solution, aren't you? When my eyes widen, he nods along as though he suspected all along. I'd be happy to help you out. That is, if you'll tell me what ails you. Leander might not work for the cenobium, but he is a mage. A powerful one at that, if that is his demonstration earlier is any indication. I'm silent, plagued by indecision. I don't know if I can trust him, but it's not like I have any alternatives. Oh, God. I hate to admit it, but this could be my only path forward. My confession comes out in a pained whisper, I'm cursed. Cursed? Oh, now I'm very curious. What kind of curse? Something ancestral or more recent? He looks up and down, taking in my face, my eyes, and finally my hands. It's your hands, isn't it? I'll wait until I'm certain my voice will remain steady before answering. My touch is dangerous. It changes people. Hurts them. Before I've even finished, Leander begins taking his glove off. He tugs his left hand free and flexes his fingers. Let's see it. He offers me his hand, and a prismatic flash of magic ripples across his palm. But I'm already shrinking backwards. I can't. I don't care how confident Leander is. I can't bring myself to hurt him. To see his kind face twist into a mask of madness. Believe me, this isn't an ordinary curse. I'll be fine. Perhaps where you came from, your affliction was strange and one of a kind. But spend a year in this city, you'll see 1,000 curses and thrice as many cures. Do you really think Kuros would send you here if I couldn't handle it? How should I know? I only met him today. I'm as good as any mage in the Cenobium. Better even. If they can help, so can I. You don't know what you're asking me. I'm asking you to trust me. I look from Leander's outstretched hand to his confident smile. Oh. Then with a short breath, I begin unwinding the bandages from my hand. Fine. But if you lose control, don't say I didn't warn you. You can tie me up first if it makes you feel better. I keep forgetting my camera's here and not not over there. Baby. With each joint I grow more and more certain that this is a terrible idea. Ready when you are. If he's bothered by the way my hand looks, he doesn't show it. My fingers hover shakily over his palm. 3, 2, 1. He wanted it. I tap his palm once, as quickly as possible. Barely more than a brush, but that's all it ever takes. When I look at his face, I expect to see the worst. Leander only grins. See? It can't be. This time when I reach out to Leander's palm again, he catches my wrist before I can pull away. I told you. It's really nothing to worry about. Oh, he's blushing. He trails off with my thumb, brushes the soft skin of his inner wrist. I search Leander's face for traces of madness, but his eyes remain a clear, soft green. Color rises in his cheeks, but he remains still, except for the subtle bobbing of his throat. Neither of us speak as I trace the contours of Leander's palm, lost in an awareness I wasn't prepared for. I've been with other people, kissed them, been embraced by them, and more. But not like this. My fingers, long deprived by years of bandaging, picked up every single detail. The groove of his palm, the smooth shell of his nails, the pulse of his heart. For as long as I lived, I've never been able to hold someone's hand. Not without dire consequences. I never realized what I was missing until this moment. While Leander's pulse is steady, mine is hammering as fear gives way to excitement. I'm gonna keep touching him. My hand glides over Leander's wrist and up his forearm, where smooth skin abruptly gives way to the raised scar by the edge of his sleeve. It matches the one that runs from his collar to cheekbone. Could it be the same wound? I glance at Leander's face, and his lips part as he considers his words before speaking. Am I the first person you've been able to touch like this? My hand goes still on his arm. so far. I'll admit, your touch makes it somewhat difficult to stay level-headed, but not due to your power. He takes my hand. His soft green eyes flick to mine before he turns it to inspect the gold fissures crisscrossing my knuckles. Look, we match. Points at a golden pin on his collar, and I gave him a small smile. I draw my hand back and take a steadying breath. My head feels as though it's stuffed with cotton. Habit alone guides me through the motions of rewrapping my hand, although my fingers tremble too much for the bandages to lie flat. I can't believe that worked. May I ask your name? I'm Justin. You're right to hide this from me, Justin. That curse of yours, it's unlike anything I've ever dealt with. I can tell you're discreet, but you'd best not go showing that off to anyone else. I didn't plan on it. Are you staying in Lowtown? I pause. Room and board was something I hadn't yet considered. I don't know. Let's get you properly settled then. The Wetwick is noticeably quieter. Without their leader, most of the bloodhounds have dispersed, or in a few cases, fallen asleep beside their drinks. Got any rooms left? Or did my lot grab them all to sleep it off? The bartender, who I now realize doubles as an innkeeper, slides a key onto the counter.
You know I always keep the corner room open for you escapades. Or for your escapades.
Leander's laugh sounds slightly strained, and I always appreciate it, but you're mistaken. This is just for my friend Justin. Sure.
Stay as long as you'd like. You two have fun. We're gonna be kissing.
I didn't know. I mean, I kind of knew, but I didn't know. Leander clears his throat, then holds the key out to me. But I hesitate. My coin purse barely holds enough for a day's worth of meals, let alone a room. How much do I owe you? Nothing. Bloodhound rates. My treat, since you shared your secret. Food, drink, a warm bed, anything you need. Anything I need. Carefully, I take the key from him. It's small, but weighs heavy on my palm. I never expected to have a warm bed in Iridia, let alone free meals. I plan to steal whatever I need to get by, no matter how dangerous. Thank you. Go explore, Justin. You'll find many roads in Iridia, each leading to different answers. But if you need a reprieve from what haunts you, come find me. Just be careful. I nod, taking one last look at that gleaming bronze key before tucking it into the pocket of my cloak for safekeeping. Leander gives me one last friendly wave before I depart. The air clings sodden and heavy. Without the morning crowd, the sunless street looks barren and bleak. Even the peddlers are long gone. Only a pair of crows remain quibbling over stale crust in a gutter. I feel a ridiculous pang of envy. At least they've got reason to fight. I've never felt so lost. Kuros and Leander both made it clear that the cenobium can't be trusted. But I came so far, endured so much. I need to see the cenobium for myself, if only to satisfy my curiosity. I should have asked someone at the bar for directions before leaving. I'm about to turn back when a shadow passes over me. A cloud, I think, till a hot puff of hot breath tickles the back of my neck. The shadow runs the street in rivulets. Formless dark spreads like ink into blotted shapes. Claws stretch. A muzzle splits open to reveal long, jagged teeth. A growl rumbles so low and deep, I feel it. I want to run, to scream. scream, but I feel trapped, as though the slightest movement or a single breath will snap the jaws around me shut. No, I won't let it end like this. If I'm going to die, I want to see what got me first. I steel myself, then turn. The shadow vanishes as quickly as it came. I'm left standing in the middle of the street, alone, except for a figure reclining in the shade of a nearby stoop. Oh, a monster. That much is clear from a glance. One that could nearly be mistaken for human were it not for the tufted ears, the tail curled around his ankle. Over the dusk pink eyes, pupils that sharpen like needles when they fall on me. Our eyes meet and the monster uncrosses his long legs. His hair gleams a shade of red that reminds me of unsettlingly of blood where it curls around his collared throat. Jumpy, aren't you? His tone is so light and carefree that I glance over my shoulder to make sure it's speaking to me. When I look back, the stranger props his chin on his knuckles and regards me with an inscrutable little smile. Didn't you see that shadow just now? It was massive, moved like a beast. Even as I speak, I'm aware of how ridiculous I must sound, but the stranger's smile doesn't falter. The only beasts I see are the Wicks drooling regulars, though this did catch my eye. With a flourish of his hand, my in-room key appears dangling from his finger. Oh my god. And turns on its chain, glittering when it catches the light. Dude, if you run your fingers on this man's abs, he's just cheese grater them right off. My hands fly to my cloak's pocket, and sure enough, find them flat. He croaks his finger, beckoning. I've already taken 2 steps forward before some stifled instinct stops me. Something feels wrong. Still on the edge, thrumming with so much adrenaline that the stranger's shadow flickers at the edges of my vision. I always track the worst kind of attention, me too, but I can't get rattled now. Who said that's my key? Who said that key's mine? He smiles wide enough to reveal pointed canines. I saw you drop it. You really should be more careful. City like this, so I might take advantage. A bald-faced lie, said without a hint of irony. I didn't drop my key. And I didn't drop any sense, or I didn't sense any magic either. He must have stolen it somehow. I approached the man, careful to keep an arm's length away. It doesn't look dangerous, but the most deadly ones never do. I just want to mess with his ears. The stranger's chain softly clinks with the tilt of his head. His ears flick. Keeping your distance? Till I figure out how you've managed to rob me. Yeah, I am. You think I stole your dinky little key from all the way over here? He gives an exaggerated sigh. I'm good with my hands, but not that good. Do I really look like a common thief to you? Sir, this is a Wendy's. He's got me there. The sheer fabric of his sleeves alone would be too expensive for most street thieves. Hell, his shoes look like they cost more than I spent traveling here. And then there's this shop behind him. No matter the city, parted pink curtains only ever mean one thing. I'm not looking to buy, and I doubt I could afford your services anyway. Luckily for you, I don't charge. The man runs the tip of his tongue over a fang, and for the first time since I stepped into the shadow, I feel something other than dread. My face grows hot. Oh. Baby. That's not what I meant. I'm flattered, really. Were sex my trade, I'd made an exception for you. How about half off for a handy? Or you could just hand over my key. Ask nicely and I might even let you tug my tail. Just throw it here. So some spindly little street urchin can snatch it and run. He raises my key and tilts his head so he can watch it dangle back and forth. I suppose I could just claim your room for myself. Not that I'd be caught dead slumming in the wick with the rest of those slack-jawed imbeciles. You're obviously not from around here, so tell me, traveler, what misfortune brought you to this wretched place? His voice practically drips with Derisian. I hope I said that correctly. I'm not telling you anything. What could have possibly drawn you to this dreary little pig pen, I wonder? He listlessly watches the arc of my key swinging around his finger. The weather's shit, the food's dreck, and there's entirely too many monsters for a human to feel safe. Unless... Dagger sharp flick towards me. Dagger sharp eyes flick towards me. They gleam with amusement. Unless you're just dying to consort with monsters. By now my embarrassment has worn away, leaving simmering impatience in its place. If this is a shakedown, it's the most frustrating one I've experienced. Fuck it. I'm fucking everyone in this game. How'd you know I'd spend all my money, starved and nearly died in a swamp just so I could crawl into bed with the first thirsty monster I saw? That earns me a burst of breathy laughter. He gazes at me under his dark lashes. Aren't you funny? Could you be any more obvious? I have been told subtly's not my strength. So, your place or mine? If I had as much riz as this man, I'd invite you if I had my key. If only I had my key, then I might be able to invite you up. His languid gaze glides from me to the key in his hand and back. Come, take my hand and we'll go together. The more he flirts, the more I'm convinced I become this is more some kind of trap. No matter how innocent monsters look, they always have tricks up their sleeves. Something tells me that this one's more dangerous than he lets on, even if he has a lovely laugh. Uh-oh. I don't know what you want, or why you're messing with me, but I'm not coming any closer until I know you aren't going to attack. Or bite. I won't bite hard, unless you beg me. Uh-oh. No matter what I say, finds a way to twist my words into innuendo. Oh, he's like me. I wish I was fucking hot. Jesus Christ. I look like a greasy shitball right now. Just don't look at me. Even when I'm silent, he goes on as though we're having a conversation, not a standoff. Do you like dancing? There's a traveling troupe performing in Hightown tonight. Their ludist is utterly exquisite, truly a performance to die for. There's a life in this dreadful place if you know where to look. You sound like you know the city well. The man's glaze flickers from me to the key dangling from his finger. Naturally, this dump was little more than a miserable little smear when I first arrived. Hightown, Lowtown, I know Iridia like the back of my hand. What about the cenobium? Do you know where that is? His smile vanishes. Surely you've seen it. That absurdly large tower looming over the rest. It's a little hard to miss. You must mean that spire I noticed when I first caught sight of Iridia. Cenobium's overrated. Forget about it. I can show you things those stuffy boars in their limp dick tower couldn't even dream of. I've already got plans. Uh-oh. Have you some pressing matters at the Cenobium? Lunch dates with the librarians? Tea time with the most esteemed abbess? I don't know how to say that word, I'm sorry. That's my business. What's it matter to you? I square my shoulders and the amusement bleeds out of him. Your loss. The stranger, finally bored of his tedious game, extends his hand towards me. The key rests on his palm, neatly dividing skin and leather. When he makes no other move, I reach for the key, but as soon as my fingers graze smooth brass, his hand springs shut around my elbow. Hey. He yanks me down and I stagger, my soul slipping on the steps. For a sick moment, I fear my bandages will unravel his touch, but he's careful not to disturb them, even as his finger dig into my arm. I knew I smelled blood. You reek of death in the road. And that fucking doctor. His voice, once silken, lowers to a smoky growl. The shadows around him seethe and boil as he pulls me closer. And something else. He murmurs against my throat, nose grazing my jaw. Let go. I try to twist away, but he doesn't budge. His breath trails down my neck, sending a thrill of dread through me. But just when I fear he'll bite, he takes a deep whiff instead. His wide, flat eyes gleam with naked hunger as he gazes up at me. Not quite human, not quite monster. Seems we're both. Veer. Stranger's ears flatten and he releases me with a short breath. I yank my arm back, massaging it where his grip left grooves in the bandages. Stranger twists around to watch a woman duck out from the curtains behind him. Her press uniform bears the insignias of the Cenobium. I leave you for all of what, 10 minutes and you're making trouble again? Will you quit harassing the tourists? I can't do a girl voice. The stranger, Veer, I take it, rolls his eyes and flashes the cleric a withering smile. So suspicious. Can't you see this is a friend of mine? A natural liar. He grins at me and his tail switches minutely. The woman purses her lips at me, clearly unconvinced. I open my mouth to correct him, but Veer cuts in. I was graciously offering my dear friend some free advice. Though his voice remains light and cheerful, his expression darkens. Dangerous drawn to you like a moth to flame. It will always find you given time. The woman clucks her tongue, as though she heard this recital 102 times. Word of advice? Don't take free advice from lazy foxes lounging in the streets. This crook would sell water to a drowning man for the sheer enjoyment of it. She shrugs off a wilting look from Veer. Oh, please. Any friend of yours knows it's true. Now hold still. Veer rises gracefully at her approach. He pushes his hair aside so it drapes over one shoulder, exposing the long line on his neck. And suddenly, it dawns on me that the jingling I heard earlier wasn't coming from the harness attached to his collar, but a leash. A heavy iron chain wound around a hitching post and padlocked to the back of his collar. Very posed deliberately to hide his leash from me. The woman produces a key ring from her pocket. She rifles through a dozen identical keys before selecting one and slotting it into the lock. Come on. Unless your friend's tagging along on our merry little soulless hunt. They're hunting for solace inside the city? Words momentarily fail me. The woman regards with a polite, if tight smile before marching down the stairs. Fear lingers. He stretches his arms over his head with a yawn, and I try not to stare at the way his stomach flattens when he arches his back. Oh. Your little secret's safe with me. Try not to get yourself killed, What a saucy little fucking little twink boy.
Fuck. Whew.
Veer hops off the stoop and bounds after the woman. His tail sways merrily, as though he hadn't just lied and threatened me. Did you try that thing I mentioned, the Lavodian knot? That the one where you take 3 fingers and actually don't tell me, knowing you, it's disgusting. Veer's airy laughter echoes down the street. It's only after he and the cleric have vanished from sight that I realize I'm still missing something. Wait. Reflexively, I shove my hands into my pockets and find the room key. I ease the key from my pocket and smooth my thumb over its teeth as I try to recall a touch, a tell, or any hint of Veer's sleight of hand, but I can't figure out how he did it. All I know for certain is that the Cenobium saw fit to leash him, a fate I could share, if that's what his vague warning meant. I let my eyes drift skyward, past the lanterns gently swaying in the breeze to the Cenobium, faintly visible through the haze. Just one glimpse is all I need. Then I can put this all behind me. This time, the key goes into my coin purse for safekeeping. This is a very long demo. It's easy enough to follow the sluggish river. It's easy enough to follow the Oh my god. That splits Iridia in two. A colossal bridge arches over the dark water below. I cross as quickly as I can, climbing over uphill toward the distant tower. Hours later, legs aching, sweat beading on my forehead, I finally find what I was searching for. The Cenobium of the luminous void. It stands at the highest point of Iridia, surrounded by cold white walls. Well-dressed people stroll down the walkways, paying no attention to the massive tower in their midst. I'm the only one standing before the gates. I crane my neck up and up until the top of the Cenobium tower disappears into the clouds overhead. I frown at the gates, wondering what horrible traps they might contain. Despite their delicate beauty, there must be more to them than meets the eye. Knocking seems like a terrible idea, but I don't see any other way of making my presence known. I'm halfway up the steps when something moves in my peripheral vision. Oh? A shadowy figure crouches beneath one of the white walls. They reach out and tug on a vine, as if testing its strength. Oi, you there. The shadow vanishes as quickly as I spotted it, and a gaunt-faced man in a crisp charcoal uniform marches up the steps toward me. Another tourist. Get out of here at once, you're done gawking. A dismissive wave accompanies his equally dismissive words, and he turns on his heel without even waiting for an answer from me. I look back at where I saw the intruder, but there's nothing. Just the leaves blowing gently in a cool breeze. I step away from the gates, hopelessness washing over me. Hello? A whisper so close I can feel the warm brush of breath on my skin. I instinctively jerk away, but there's no one beside me. Halfway down the staircase, I spot a woman swaying in the breeze. She's gaunt as a rail, her blouse moth-eaten. I'm unable to take my eyes off her. Not because of the way she smiles a little too widely, or the way her tousled braids look unbrushed for days, but because her eyes shine a vibrant, unnatural crimson. I'm both entranced and unsettled by their subtle glow. These days, you'd need a miracle to get in there. I'm unsure how to respond, or if I even should. Seems like I'm in the market for a miracle. Know anyone selling? She beams at me like I've said the greatest thing she's ever heard. Lucky for you, I have them for free. Whatever she's selling, I'm not interested. My words come out in a tired breath. No thanks. I start down the stairs, but she abruptly steps into my path. She turns her back to me. Before I can react, she slips her fingers under the lacing of her collar, stripping out of her blouse in broad daylight. What are you As worn fabric unveils bare skin, my panic is smothered by cold horror. A misshapen, sunken scar carves into the woman's body. Pitted, gnarled skin snakes down her shoulders, blooming from a gaping hole in the back of her neck. A shuddering breath escapes me. The fuck? No. Whatever this disease had ate away at her from the inside out. How is she able to move or breathe? It's impossible. She shouldn't be alive, and yet the power to cure anything can be yours too. The power of the sea spring. The woman slides back into her blouse and deftly laces it up. If I've caught your interest, then follow me. It's only a short walk away. Without another glance, she leisurely strolls down the cenobium stairs, loose braids bobbing behind her. The edge of her scar peeks out from under her collar. I stand there, wordless, until I manage to regain my bearings. It's a twisted miracle, but a miracle nonetheless. This could be the stupidest decision of my life. Or in my life, but what choice do I have? I take a final look at the cenobium's shut gates, then follow her down the steps. We descend from the higher streets, leaving behind their gilded decadence. As we cross the river, the wet derelict districts feel more familiar to me. But the crimson-eyed woman takes me farther, then farther still, until I'm met with an all too familiar sight. My gut lurches when I face the open horizon. The city's outskirts are hardly recognizable in daylight, and probably safer for it, but venturing beyond Iridia's walls is a gamble I wasn't prepared to take so soon. Keep going straight, and the sea spring will reveal itself to you. I bark out a bitter laugh, loud and involuntarily. I'd rather. Are you kidding? It's not safe out there. You're as safe inside the city as outside of it. Truthfully, the territory before you is the safest of all. What do you mean, territory? This region belongs to Ace. Most people know him as a gang leader. He's much more than that. I squint against the empty wastelands. Only a fool or someone with nothing to lose would leave the city. Apparently I'm both. But if this sea spring cured her, I need to see what it can do for me. I set off into the wastes over my shoulder. The woman calls after me. Good luck, Justin. I hope we meet again. My heart pounds with each step I take from civilization. From what seems like an eternity, I force each foot forward, one step, then another, until a realization hits me. I never told the woman my name. Something pierces the horizon ahead of me. A building, nestled into a tall cliffside, but so starkly out of place, it might as well be a hallucination. It drips with extravagance and honeyed mahogany, and an ornate jewel of architecture. A row of dark silhouettes stand out on the horizon. Trees, I think. Until I'm close enough to realize that what I mistook for branches were spikes and jutting tendrils. Soulless. Several of them watch me in the distance like statues. I don't think. I just run. Exploding into a messy sprint, I push my legs as fast as they'll take me towards that decorated building. Flashes of last night chase me. The gushes of blood and screams of death. The smell of burning flesh and sour bile. I can't go through that again. I won't. The next thing I know, I'm dashing up wooden stairs and crashing through towering double doors. I gasp for air, my lungs burning from exertion. I'm desperate to be safe, but when I process my surroundings, it's more hellscape than sanctuary. Blood flows all around me, overwhelming my visions with a lurid, unholy red. Instinctively, my hand leaps to my mouth, but the rotten stench of blood never comes. Instead, a smoky scent hangs in the air, sharp and spiced. I swallow thickly, convincing myself that it's not as gruesome as it appears. This has to be the sea spring, the place that grants miracles. Pulling my eyes away from the pool, I take in the rest of my environment. Tall pillars flank me, blanketed in written notes. Seating pillows scatter the floor. A rustic kettle sits nearby. Someone must live here, despite how eerily empty it is. Hello? Is anyone here? My voice echoes across the cavern without response. I approach the paper-covered pillars. Maybe something here can tell me more. I reach for the topmost. I reach for a note that's higher up. It reads, "No one will read this, but it's not for anyone else. This is evidence I existed in this rotten, grim world. Even so, I wish I could have stayed longer. The bog girl will be lonely without me. I should have told her how The rest is scratched out. I wonder who wrote this." Before I can ponder it further, a sharp chill runs down my spine. Something's watching me. I quickly set the note back, my eyes darting around the wooden deck, but it's still empty. Vacant. Finally, I look towards the sea spring. That stillness hides something deeper. Something wrong. Hey. I spin around and come face to face with a pack of solas. They chitter and growl, tendrils and spikes flaring threateningly, all different sizes and species, but sharing one identical trait, glowing crimson eyes. I try to back away, but my heels teeters over the sea spring. I'm cornered. Watch your step. It's deeper than it looks. That voice again. The sound of it, the solas freeze, their snarls quieting. Uh-oh. I search for the voice's source and find it above me, lounging in the rafters. You look lost, little sparrow?" His gaze is a violent crimson, one that sears through me, leaves me feeling raw and exposed. They're the same eyes I've seen over and over, first with the scarred woman, now with the soulless circling me, all bound by the sea spring's blood red. And the shroud of darkness behind me, shapes like massive tentacles twist and coil around the wooden beams. I can't focus. The soulless' growls ring in my ears. They're not advancing, but that could change at any second. Panic rises in my throat as I struggle to track them. Hey! Eyes on me! My stomach rolls as I tear my eyes away from the soulless. Don't ignore someone who's talking to you. It's not polite. For a moment, anger knocks my fear aside. Who is this bastard? I'm kind of distracted by the soulless about to maul me. Only on my command. I scan the soulless again. They really aren't attacking. Posturing more than anything else. You tamed them? Power of the sea spring. They're hungry, so they might bite. You could give me a reason to stop them. How about I didn't do anything wrong? Trespassing. And that's punishable by death? I guess a non-committal shrug. I called out earlier to see if anyone was here, Or are we supposed to play hide and seek? Didn't hear you. My voice stops in my throat. This man's terse coolness is both infuriating and terrifying. I rack my brain for a way to defuse the situation. Tell me what you want. I'm not in the mood for guessing games. Your hands. Alarm jolts through me. I hide my hands under my cloak. Show me. Why? Won't ask twice. Sharp puff, I reluctantly hold out my bandaged hands. Are you getting off on this? Unwrap them. Heat rushes to my face and fire to my tongue. I should have given a piece of my mind, but not when his soulless are one command from ripping me to shreds. Yet no matter how much I will, or how much I will myself to move, my body is frozen in place. I stand there for a long, agonizing minute. My hands are trembling when I finally raise them. I know the skin beneath the wrappings all too well. The hideous, unnatural flesh I've grown to despise. I grip the edge of the bandages. Stop. With a weary sigh, the man slides off the beam and lands with a thud that shakes the panels underfoot. He's a monster, with an imposing figure that towers over me. I couldn't tell how tall he was before, but he's big. Illuminated by lantern light. His features are stronger, sharper. He's really handsome. There's so many pretty boys in this game. I feel like an ugly boy now. Subtle clinks of metal accompany each of his footsteps. The closer he gets to me, the faster my heart hitches. What does he want? Is he going to kill me? I step backwards. I find nothing to set my foot on. I'd forgotten my back was to the C-spring. I fall, right before a warm hand catches my lower back. Oh. I'm hovering above the C-spring, the scent of smoke and leather enveloping me. Blazing crimson eyes bore into me. Told you to watch your step. I'm too stunned to muster a response. Like I weigh nothing, it guides me back to solid ground and steps back. Following a subtle gesture from his fingers, the souls around us disperse and relax. The shift in their demeanor is so abrupt it gives me whiplash. The enormous tentacles are no longer in the rafters, though now I doubt I ever saw them at all. Either way, I exhale a breath of relief. Thanks. As focused on me as he was before, the monster pays no attention to me now. He kicks some seating pillows out of the walkways, checks the contents of the kettle with a scowl. The sudden disregard is almost insulting. So that's it? I'm not a threat anymore? Never were one. Then why'd you threaten me? People get honest when they're afraid. In other words, he's messing with me. I drag a hand over my face, exhausted by the fact that this is the second time a monster's provoked me today. You're ice, aren't you? Depends who's asking. One of your friends told me this was your territory. She also said you were a gang leader. There's no one else here. I thought there'd be more people. Ice picks up the kettle and walks to the edge of the C-spring, then dumps out the contents into the endless red. Gang took a walk. His pleasant smile stretches across his face, ear to ear. Then in an instant it drops. I get the sense that I shouldn't have asked about his gang again. Something must have happened. I'll learn to recognize a real leader when I see one. Eyes regrettably fits the type perfectly. He knows how to scare people. He expects submission. But it's uncommon for someone so used to being in power to be so alone. What do you need the C-spring's power for? Depends. Can it cure a curse? Probably. You mean you don't know? Nope. He shakes out the empty kettle and starts collecting stray cups, tidying up. My frustration builds. I narrow my eyes at him in a questioning glare. When he notices, he returns it with an amused smirk. Are you being irritating on purpose? Listen, Sparrow. Sea spring can cure anything. Nothing stopping you from trying it yourself. What do I have to do? Drink. I have to drink from the sea spring? My eyes glide to the blood-like pool beside. The idea of ingesting the strange liquid makes my guts churn. Is there a price? Always. Eyes taps his temple with a finger. You lose it a little bit. That's it. Might have already beat it to the punch. My humor earns me an amused fang grin. This is a little different. When you drink from the sea spring, you forget who you are. Your mind combines with everyone who ever drank before. Humans, monsters, soulless. One big, happy family in your head. My blood runs cold. I've heard of these before. Group minds. I thought they were just rumors. I've heard whispers of cults performing rituals to bind their members' minds together. It never seemed possible. But something tells me this is real. Even if one thing doesn't add up. Your eyes are red too. But you obviously haven't forgotten who you are. Before I can finish my sentence, eyes strides past me towards the entrance. Time's up. Let's finish this later. Wait, already? Barely told me anything. Came on a bad day. Got somewhere else to be. There are still so many questions burning on the tip of my tongue, but my frustration spills out before any of them. I was told to come here for help, but instead I got threatened and kicked out. You're joking, right? Watch your tone. Nice, but you don't want to ruin the host mood. My skin prickles. A feeling of being watched washes over me again. My eyes dart back over to the sea spring. A lone ripple dances on the quiet surface. I take Ice's advice and clamp my mouth shut. Ice approaches a nearby soulless, a lanky dog-like one with 6 legs and a crown of tendrils. Several sets of crimson eyes adorn its sides. Its forked tail wags rapidly when Ice squats beside it. He runs his finger through the tendrils, scratches his chin and pats its head. The art style kinda sorta reminds me of Hades a little bit. Like a little bit. Just as horny though. Oh my god. A gentle smile plays across Ice's lips. The affection he holds for the soulless is painfully clear. I tip my eyes away, my stomach fluttering at the tender sight. It's getting dark out, so this pretty girl will guide you back. Following a short whistle from Ice's lips, I trots over to the entrance obediently, tail swaying. I watch the soulless warily. Pretty is not a word I would use to describe it, and the idea of protecting me sounds absurd. If I decide to drink, how should I find you? Find someone with eyes like mine. They'll point you in the right direction. But think it over. Once you drink, you can't go back. It's a lot to process, but I gave it a small nod. At least I know I have another option for a cure, as disturbing as it might be. I follow the soulless as at a measured distance, watch it nudge the giant doors open with ease. When I'm about to cross the threshold, I sneak one last glance behind me. My heart skips when I meet Ice's eyes. I'm about to snap my head away, but he just flashes me an easy smile. Until next time, Sparrow, I'll buy a drink for scaring you. I don't trust myself to do anything. But respond with another curt nod. Outside, more crimson-eyed soulless scuttle about. It's hard to believe it's the same threatening pack from before. They chase each other in circles, roll around in the bog's mud. They pay no attention to me as the dog-like one escorts me away. It's an uneventful trip. Sometimes the Solus looks over its shoulder at me to make sure I'm still following. Dusk darkens the sky by the time we reach the city. The Solus sits and looks at me expectantly with familiar crimson eyes. I'll pet the Solus. As nervous as I am, I carefully glide my fingers through the Solus's tendrils and scratch beneath its chin, just like Ice said. It pushes into my palm in response, rumbling with a sound akin to a purr. The vibrations are soothing, almost healing my fatigue. When it's satisfied, the Solus spins around and scampers back in the direction we came, vanishing into the darkness. It's barely my first day in Iridia, and I've already encountered so many things I thought were impossible. Tame Solus being one of them. My head spins. Maybe I should call it a day. How long is this demo? I'm really enjoying this, but I also need to sleep. Man, people are really horny for this game. Sorry, I'm just trying to find if anyone did a playthrough, maybe. Oh, there's still one more person I haven't met. Nightfall creeps across the streets of Iridia. The city, labyrinthian even, in daytime, has become a warren of treacherous alleyways. The streets are completely deserted. If I hadn't been here earlier, I would have thought this part of the city abandoned. I make my way through the winding streets, doing my best to keep my bearing towards the wet wick. My steps slow when I hear rustling in the dark. I strain my ears, but everything is still. Is the silence playing tricks on me? Something is wrong. The fine hairs on the back of my neck prickle, a frisson of discomfort running down my spine. Something is wrong. My eyes dart from one side of the street to the other, searching for movement. But the shadows are so deep, or as deep and dark as a pool of ink, and I see nothing. I can't stay here. I need to reach a busier part of the city. Drawing my cloak tighter around my body, I hurry on my way. Though I keep my eyes sharp and listen intently, it is only the sound of my own footsteps. Some moments pass, nothing happens. I begin to wonder. Maybe I really did imagine that noise. I turn the next corner and my thoughts come screaming to a halt. My head spins, the world blurring as adrenaline rushes through my veins. Only one thing is clear amidst the haze. The Solus attacked the caravan. It's crouched over a dark, indistinct shape, a body. A garland of intestines spills from pallid flesh. Blood grouts the cobblestones. For a mercy, the Solus is too distracted by its meal to have noticed me. My feet feel heavy as stones, but I can't just stand here. Holding my breath, I take a step backwards. When the wet slurping sounds don't abate, I take another, then another. Then a shard of glass crunches under my heel. The world seems to slow as it crawls as the Solus raises its head, blood dripping from its tendrils, every single one of its bulging eyes fixed unblinkingly on me. It's really here. It's come back for me. Run. I'm off like a shot, running for my life through the darkened streets. Behind me, A piercing bass splits the silence, and heavy footfalls behind after me. Oh, sorry, it's really sweaty in here. My heart thunders in my chest. I take turns at random, trying to lose it in the maze of streets, but I can't seem to shake it. I can hear its breathing now, a wet, fluttering rasp, growing closer and closer. The same claws that severed my arm swipe out. I duck, saved by pure reflex, and skid around a corner. I take 3 strides before the bottom drops out of my stomach. A wall twice as high as me bars my way. A dead end. When I turn around, the soulless looms in the entry to the alleyway. It's no longer running. It doesn't have to. It prowls closer. My thoughts race. Some of the buildings lining the streets are lit. There must be people inside. It's a long shot, but... Somebody help me. My voice rings through the shattered streets. Silhouettes pass by the windows, but nobody answers. In this wretched world, few people will stick their neck out to help their own flesh and blood. Never mind a stranger. The solace, provided by my shouting, gives a rasping hiss. It's the only warning I can get before it lunges for me with the flash of claws. I hurl myself to the side, but the slick cobblestones betray me. I fall, sprawling over the rough stone. As the solace looms over me, I scramble away from it until my back hits the wall. There's nowhere left to go. It descends on me for the kill. But the impact never comes. Oh? The last one I haven't met yet. I warily crack one eye open, then the other. Not sure what I should believe in what I'm seeing. A hooded figure crouches in front of me. One blood-stained hand outstretched. Sweet Jiminy Christmas, I'm in love. Oh. Shit, maybe I am gay. Ooh. Moonlight silvers the edge of their stiletto knife. Their face and hands are splattered with blood. The soulless. My eyes dart past my unexpected rescuer to the misshapen form behind them. The soulless's many eyes, once restless and vibrant, now look dull and waxy. A red pool spreads slowly under its body. Numb with shock, I can't help but stare. It's dead. After all the people it's killed, after nearly killing me twice, I can hardly believe it. Well, I gingerly take the offered hand. The stranger's gaze dips to my bandages. Pale lips part on the brink of a question, then close again. With a strength belying their slight frame, they pull me to my feet. As soon as I'm on my own 2 feet again, they pull away from me and start wiping the blood from their face and hands. If you look like this, please hit me up. Fuck, I'm down bad. Very bad. Oh, God. Man. Stay there. They turn away from me swiftly, leaning over the soulless's gangly body. Their back towards me. I realized that I saw their hooded silhouette at the cenobium. You were at the cenobium. I've seen you before. You were at the cenobium earlier, weren't you? They cast a wary look at me. So what if I was? Their harsh response takes me aback. Before I can formulate a response, they continue. What are you thinking, traveling alone at night? This is far from the worst thing haunting Lowtown. I can't make heads or tails of them. First they save me, Now they scold me? It just makes them hotter. Lesson learned. I could do without the lecture, though. To my surprise, they break eye contact. Their attention glides back to the Solus' corpse. They examine it with an inscrutable expression. I clear my throat to fill the silence. I'm Justin. Mhin? Mhin? I'm attracted to men. Suddenly, Mhin tenses. Their blade flashes as they drive it into the back of the Solus' neck. Solus thrashes once, letting out a rattling hiss as the air leaves its lungs. Mhin leans on the blade, driving it deeper and deeper, until there's a sickening crunch and the creature goes limp. My heart thuds in my chest. It must have been clinging to life by a thread. Mhin straightens up, withdrawing their blade in a single smooth motion. Better to put wretched things like this out of their misery. They calmly clean the blood from their knife. That swift, unhesitating, lethal strike wasn't the work of an amateur. But they don't act like any of the cold-blooded killers I've seen in the past. Why is a Solus inside the city? Mhin looks at me, eyes searching before realization dawns. You're new here. There's no walls around the city. Solus can come and go as they please, till someone is contracted to stop them. The Cenobium's patrols don't bother to protect Lowtown. Not anymore. Let me guess. You're not a fan of the Cenobium? I wouldn't go that far. Their brow abruptly furrows, and they sheath their knife, motioning for me to follow them. It's not safe here. It's not safe here. The vultures can smell death. I'm not quite sure what they mean, but I don't want to stay lost in the city. I trail behind them as they stride down the street. If it's so dangerous, then why are you helping me? You are making an unbearable racket. Next time you walk to a Solus' claws, at least die quietly. Their answer is stingingly harsh, and it just makes them hotter. What is this phenomenon? I just need to find my lodgings. I hold my hands up, trying to forestall any more snippy comments. Alright, I get it. I'd love to get out of your way. I'm sort of lost. I just need directions back to my lodgings. What makes you think I'll help you? Nothing. But there's no harm in asking. That seems to catch them off guard. Their brow knits, and they look away, scowling. How troublesome. Justin? I turn by his voice. Kuros walks down the street towards us. His white and gold clothing is pristine, despite the grime of the city. Hello, Mhin. I see that the Solus was your work. Mhin shrugs. There's a familiarity to the way that they regard each other. You know them, Kuros? Mhin is a freelancer who has done a few errands for me. They are quite reliable. Unreliable freelancers don't eat. There's something Kuros isn't saying here. Just needs to get back to where he's staying before he wanders into the jaws of another Solus. It is late. Were you able to find a place to stay, Justin? I'm staying at the Wet Wick. Both their faces fall. I see. Would you like a guide? Might be preferable to wandering about alleyways. That would be nice. Mhin clicks their tongue and sighs, sounding mightily put out. Going to the Amaryllis district? That gaudy cesspit? Come, this way. Despite Min's clear distaste when Kuros leads me down the street, They keep pace with us, catching my curious glance. Mhin's eyes narrow. It's not safe this late. I don't care about you, but Kuros is the only doctor worth a damn in this place. Are you like this with everyone? The deadpan look Mhin gives me is answer enough. I catch Kuros hiding a slight smile. I suppress a sigh and resign myself to having a grumpy shadow all the way back to the wet wick. The route Kuros takes is completely different from my slow meandering earlier in the morning. In no time at all, he cuts through the darkened streets and twisting alleys. It seems like half the city is poured into the Amaryllis district. Colorful streets, laughter, clinking glasses, and music assault my ears from every direction. Yet the most noise still comes from the wet wick. Its doors hang wide open, lanterns lit. Here we are. He moves toward the door, and Mhin looks out in an audible huff. Don't tell me you're going in. I have some quick business with Leander. Ugh, fine. He still owes me for yesterday's work. They drag their feet, reluctantly trailing me into the tavern. I just want to check real quick. Oh my god. This is 7 hours. Or no, wait. Sorry, I'm just gonna look real quick. Oh, I'm like 40 minutes away, I think, from oh wait, maybe not. I'm sorry. This person just like Well, this is extremely long. It's like 4.5 hours long. So, I'm going to save. And, we'll go from there. I'm really interested to see what happens next. So if you want me to keep going, just let me know. My voice hurts from reading. And I'm really tired. And it's really late. But thank you so much for checking out the video. I greatly appreciate it. If you want to check out other videos of mine, greatly appreciate it. And yeah, have a lovely night. Have a good day. Have a good night. Have a good whatever it is you're doing. And yeah, bye.